Have you ever thought, I have no control over these feelings? They just come out of nowhere. Or maybe, as you've listened to these podcasts, you found yourself doubting whether it's really possible to tolerate anxiety at all. Welcome to Quieting Anxiety. I'm Dr. Monica Frank with Excel at Life. Today's episode is about something that often gets misunderstood, but can be a game changer in managing anxiety: emotion training. Let's begin with a few quiet breaths. Inhale gently and exhale slowly. Now picture a warm light. Make it a color that you find calming. Focus on that light resting at the center of your chest. With each breath, let that light, that color, expand. Imagine that color spreading into your shoulders, and let it soften the tension in your shoulders. Let it spread into your arms, into your face. Feel that color as a quiet encouragement, a reminder that the space is just for you, a place to learn, to grow, and to be kind to yourself. As you continue to breathe gently, let's talk about emotion training. I realize emotion training might sound like an attempt to control or suppress what you're feeling. You might even be thinking, but it's what I feel. How can I make myself feel something different? Or maybe you've heard phrases like, get a hold of yourself, or you're so emotional, or can't you control yourself? Or the classic, stop crying. Those phrases imply judgment. They're demands that invalidate emotion. But emotion training is different. It's not about shutting down feelings. It's about learning how to understand, evaluate, and respond to them in a way that supports your well-being, especially when you're struggling with anxiety. In a sense, if you have been following the instructions in these podcasts, you have already been doing emotion training. Mindfulness helps you to distance yourself and become an observer of the emotions. If you use the mindful grounding audio, it helps you to refocus to your present circumstances. Anytime you use the relaxation, you are training your body how to access that relaxed state. What we will talk about today is giving you a better understanding of that, as well as introducing a couple of audios that are even more specific to emotion training. First, let's look at what sets emotion training apart from judgment-based demands to control your feelings. It's important to note that emotions are not a weakness. Some people are more emotionally sensitive, and that's not a flaw. It's often connected to empathy and compassion and feeling more deeply. In many ways, if more people were emotionally sensitive, our world may be a more pleasant place. But when the intensity of emotions becomes overwhelming, emotion training teaches containment without suppression. Emotions are meant to serve you. Managing emotions isn't about making others comfortable. It's for your benefit, so you can feel more in control of how you respond to life's challenges. Also, as I've mentioned before, emotions have purpose. Anxiety, for instance, often sends a signal. The purpose might be to alert you that something needs attention. When we understand the signal, we can respond more effectively, which means that the more you can pay attention to the emotion and understand what it means, you will be able to focus more effectively on problem solving. And believe it or not, emotional mastery can be taught. Have you ever been angry, then answered the phone and suddenly sounded cheerful? That's emotional regulation in action. Emotion training helps you apply that same skill more intentionally and in more circumstances and in a way that benefits you. Emotion training is a CBT based method that teaches emotional mastery in 3 steps: understanding emotions, evaluating emotions, and regulating emotions. If your emotions have been invalidated much of your life, it may be difficult to even recognize what you're feeling. You might only know that something feels wrong, but not be able to label it clearly. You can start by identifying emotions with more precision. Instead of, I feel bad, you could say, I feel disappointed. Instead of, I'm angry, consider, I feel frustrated, or I feel dismissed. The cognitive diary in the Quieting Anxiety app can help with this. It lets you select emotions by category and intensity. I'll talk more about that in a moment. You can also talk to trusted others to help sort out what you're feeling. In addition, sometimes we treat emotions as facts. This is called emotional reasoning. You may recognize yourself in some of these anxiety-related patterns. Someone with panic disorder might think, if I feel like I'm dying, I must be. A person with generalized anxiety disorder might believe, if I'm worried about something, it must be important. Those with obsessive compulsive disorder often fear, if I feel like something's unsafe, it must be dangerous. But the reality is, emotions aren't always accurate. They can be shaped by past experiences, physical sensations, or inaccurate thinking. Evaluating emotions allows you to ask, what might this emotion be trying to tell me? Do I have actual evidence for the intensity or belief connected to this emotion? Is this emotion related to the present situation or a past trigger? Is there a more accurate way to describe or interpret what I'm feeling? Is the intensity appropriate to what's happening right now? Learning to ask these questions takes practice, but it's a key step in changing how anxiety affects you. Once you understand and evaluate the emotion, you can then decide what to do with it. Sometimes that means calming it, like when anxiety keeps you from doing something important. Other times it means letting yourself feel it fully, like when you're grieving a loss. This isn't about forcing emotions to go away. It's about choosing how to engage with them. Now let's talk about some tools that support emotional regulation. The Mindful Grounding for Anxiety and Trauma audio helps when emotions feel overwhelming. It brings you back to the present through sensory input, touch, sound, breath. As you continue to learn mindfulness skills, you'll find that it helps to be with your emotions without getting swept away by them. You're not trying to change emotion, but to sit with it gently without judgment. The Understanding Mindfulness Step 3, Mindfulness and Unpleasant Emotions, can explain this in more detail. Finally, I want to introduce the Rainbow and Building Blocks emotion training audios. These use guided imagery and conditioning to help you access calming or strengthening emotions when you need them. You're training your emotional responses to associate certain states of being with a certain stimulus. More specifically, with the Rainbow Emotion Training audio, you associate colors of the rainbow with particular emotional states, so that when you imagine being immersed in the color, your body learns to respond with that state. In a similar way, with the building blocks emotion training, you create rooms in your mind that bring about pleasant emotions that you can access by thinking about those safe spaces. Emotion training is especially important for anxiety because it helps you pause before reacting. Instead of being overwhelmed, you can learn to listen to your emotions and respond in a way that supports your goals. The current task to focus on is to continue the work you've been doing with mindfulness and grounding. In addition, try the emotion training audios. Keep in mind that to really train yourself to access these pleasant states at will, you need to listen to the audios repeatedly over a period of time. Finally, let's talk a little more about the cognitive diary in the Quieting Anxiety app. In later podcasts, I will discuss using the cognitive diary, but for now, I want you to just become familiar with identifying emotions. I have often found with my clients who have anxiety that they have trouble with this aspect of the cognitive diary, because usually they try to avoid emotions and don't want to look at them in depth. But as I explained, it is important to do so. If you're using the app, which I would highly recommend, you can find the diary entry in the menu under CBT Tools, or you can select Learn to Manage Anxiety on the home screen, and then select Cognitive Diary. Once you are in the diary entry, swipe to the second screen for the emotion entry. When you select one of the emotion icons, you will see a screen that provides different related emotions with various intensities. The 6 primary emotions are anger, fear, sad, shame, confused, and happy. Each have 3 levels of intensity with multiple descriptions to identify the specific emotions. For instance, fear can range from I felt uneasy to I felt terrified. At this point, just explore those emotions. If you find there are certain emotions that are common for you, it can also be helpful to customize your mood log in the app so you can track them. And while I'm mentioning the mood log, be sure to continue recording your emotions, as we will talk more about analyzing them next time. I know this is all becoming more involved, but what could be more important in your life than taking care of yourself? I would suggest, especially from here on out, take your time with these podcasts. Don't think you need to do everything at once. Focus on what you need to do now, and don't continue on with the podcast until you feel ready. It is better to take the time you need to learn each skill that I introduce. Let it become a habit. You're making a difference one step at a time. Let's end with a reflection. What anxious emotion or reaction have you been noticing lately? And what might it be trying to tell you? Not to scare you, but to guide you. And let's close with another quiet moment. Breathe in deeply and let it go slowly. Now picture that steady light of encouragement, the color you chose earlier, and imagine that you are immersed in it. It feels soothing and encouraging. You can feel it spreading across your body. Let this color, this light, settle into your chest, your belly, your arms, and legs. With each breath, with each breath, it anchors you gently in the present moment. And in this space, remind yourself, you don't need to have all the answers right now. You only need to keep showing up. Allow yourself to breathe in and let that color, that light, remind you. You're building strength. You're learning to understand anxiety, not run from it. You feel safe and encouraged. As the light surrounds you, continue to breathe gently and remind yourself, you're already doing the work. You're already changing your response to anxiety. Until next time, keep practicing, keep breathing, and keep moving forward.